Reddit by user Oscar0997. Title: Americans of Reddit, how would you feel about getting your imperial system replaced with pretty much the rest of the world's metric system? Comment by DLORDJR, anything to make my PP sound more impressive. Reply by Drinkduff77.05 meters doesn't sound any better. Comment by Blackwater Baby, well, what would we call inchworms then? Reply by Brian051770, would you like fries with your 113.4 grammar? Comment by Amazonoids, I wouldn't really care. Would just take a while to get used to it. Reply by Dr. Quinzel, came here to say this. The transition would be awful. Comment by Kryptonish, we use the metric system for all scientific, engineering and medical applications, and that is really the only places where it matters. Comment by Lumrox, as a Canadian, I went through it, over 40 years ago, as a kid, and I still use some imperial stuff, to this day, pounds and sometimes miles. I'll still convert kilometers into miles. It was a tough transition. Comment by BKP a guy, I'm a mechanical engineer and my company was recently bought by a larger global corporation, and one of the requirements to sell machines in Europe was to make all of our machines metric. For the past year and a half, our entire engineering department has literally just been changing things from English units to metric units. It is so easy for the salesman to say just make it metric, but it is an entirely different thing to implement it. Changing from English to metric hardware has been an extremely tedious and boring task in engineering. We essentially just converted every tapped hole to metric on thousands of parts. But it's not just as simple as all 1, 2, 1, 3 bolts convert to M12 bolts, because sometimes the head sizes on bolts are of a significant difference that it will no longer work, so we'd have to size up or size down. As a side note, I feel cheated as an engineer because for the last year and a half I've done almost zero actual interesting design work, and because of that I feel like I'm not as sharp on my engineering as I once was. From a manufacturing standpoint, the vendors we send our engineering drawings are tooled up for English parts. So when we sent them the drawings with metric holes, they hit us with a price increase so they could go buy the tools to create the metric holes. And since they were less familiar with metric holes, there were sometimes problems with thread pitch and or engagement. From a purchasing standpoint, vendors were much more likely to no quote parts that have metric parts simply because they didn't have the tools to create the part. From an assembly point of view, our shop had to get all new tools and stock up on all new types of fasteners. Our line of equipment normally sells for about $3 million, and we sold this equipment to Europe for that much, but the cost of implementing that was about 3,000 engineering hours and $500,000 extra for manufacturing costs. I would absolutely love if the imperial system never existed, but sadly it does. And because America is so integrated with the imperial system, it is too costly and time intensive to switch from imperial to metric. I believe larger corporations than ours have tried and failed. Only time will tell if this whole effort was worth it. Comment by Supervillain Poseidon, I'll gladly take most of it, but I'm keeping Fahrenheit. The others make less sense to your average person.